station with the artist station with the artist music.
Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah, dance hallelujah, hallelujah, amen. Sing hallelujah, your name is a strong tower, Jesus. To you belong all power, Jesus. Whenever I call your name, you make a way. Your name is a strong tower, Jesus. Waymaker. Your name is a waymaker, hey. Jesus. Hey. Jesus. Whenever I call, you make a way. In the wilderness, your name is a waymaker. Hey, game change, game change. Turn around, turn around, turn around. Hey, whenever, when I call your name, make a way. Your name is a game changer, Jesus.
My visitors, my listeners and viewers, we have to a late start this afternoon, but better late than never. And it's Monday, and we have your plate filled with mental nourishment. We want to start our program this afternoon by talking to ex-CIA agent, Michael Marriage. And we are going to be, we're trying to understand what is happening with CIA. Mike, are you there?
I'm here, Desmond.
And how are you this afternoon?
I'm fine, and you and your listeners, I hope, are all well.
Well, yes, we are okay. We are okay. And so where you want us to begin this evening? You want to begin by giving us some background, your own background with the CIA?
Yes, I can do that, but first let me just give you some basic CIA background, then we can go into my part. President Truman established the Central Intelligence Group in 1946, which became in 1947 the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, which was by the National Security Act. Before that, it was the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, which operated especially in World War II in this hemisphere. The number of employees and budget is hidden. You'll never know the number of employees. You'll never know the true budget of the CIA. And frankly, it's much more. Its charter gave the FBI the domestic law enforcement prerogative. The CIA was very limited in intel gathering at home or within the United States boundaries. And it was set up to operate overseas in foreign territories. In Vietnam, they extended the classic intelligence departments. For example, I was a FI officer, foreign intelligence officer, and basically it was to spot, assess, develop, and recruit and handle agents. Then you had the CI or CE, counterintelligence, counterespionage, and these were little guys that sat in the corner. They believed in no one. They were paranoid. They trusted no one. And counterintelligence is where you're working against another intelligence, to work against the intelligence of another service. Counterespionage is when you're working against, they're working against you. And that's the difference between CI and CE. Then we
Okay.
have the CA, or the covert action officers. These guys are what I call the con men. They get involved in activities with youth and students, with unions, with coups, with demonstrations and things like that. It's covert activities. And the officers that we have, they're either staff officers, they could be career agents, or they could be contract types. So there is a flexibility. The paramilitary role jumped in Vietnam by President Johnson. He felt that the CIA was better equipped to get into paramilitary operations than the military. Many officers, like myself, did not like that. We were against that because we felt that it detracted from the traditional information or intel gathering that the CIA was set up for originally. And I think today there's more paramilitary going on, although I've been out for quite a while now. There's more paramilitary going on now than ever before. President Johnson, as many know, some don't, when he said they fired on our ships, he was blaming the North Vietnamese of firing on U.S. vessels, which was a lie. We fired on their vessels, and we started the Vietnam War, just as we started the wars in the Middle East for the last 2 decades. And we did some things that CIA was proud of, but we've also done some things that we're not proud of. Guantanamo during the last 2 decades is something we're not proud of, nor the camps that we had in Europe that were on foreign soil, and we could do things with terrorists, or what we called terrorists, that we couldn't do on our homeland. That's why the rendition camps and Guantanamo were set on foreign territories. We didn't have to worry about this coming back to hit us in court.
But on that note, Mike.
Sadly, yes, go ahead.
Yes,
please.
on that note, on the Guantanamo note. Now, you will recall that former President Obama announced that he would want to close down Guantanamo. Well, he ended 8 years, and that did not happen. But let me hear you on what has been happening in Guantanamo Bay in recent times.
Well, we have quietly released many of these people that should have never been picked up. 85% of them should have never been picked up and put there. We've quietly released them over the years. We kept them for many years. In the last few years, we have quietly released them until we have a handful there still. The battle is, if Obama wanted to close it, he would have to convince the military, and he would have to convince especially the Congress and the lobbies to do so. The president does not have the power here that we think he has. His power in this country is given by the lobbies and the handlers of the politicians. And this president today is a puppet. Obama was less of a puppet. Trump was a puppet sometimes, sometimes not. But the end result is much of the nation is run by lobbyists, because that's how you get elected, with lobbyist money and media. Guantanamo should have been never opened. It certainly should have not been sitting there till now, over 2 decades. And there's another thing here about 9/11. 9/11 in New York was an assumption that they attacked us. Well, the fight doesn't always start when somebody hits you back, but that's what we like people to believe, that the fight starts when somebody hits us back. We had been running operations and creating havoc in the Middle East long before 9/11. That was the reason for 9/11.
But
So this is not.
you're also aware that there are very strong views that the 9/11 attack was not. In other words, then it was not like how the world it was given to us, how it occurred. There are views that it was an internal operation.
Israeli.
Yeah, that too. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, these are only thoughts. The Israelis had a team there monitoring it, jumping up and down when the buildings got hit, and they were whisked out of the country very quickly. You also had some Saudis that were whisked out of the country very quickly, and we did not invade Saudi Arabia. It was mostly Saudis that pulled that off. By the way, the airplanes that were kidnapped and used, this was a phenomenal operation. These lads were trained recently. These were multi-engine aircraft. They were jumbo jets. They had to be put on an exact azimuth to get to their target. And they did it with such great efficiency. They had to take over the plane. And then what they accomplished has never been given credit for it. Obviously, I shouldn't speak in those terms because people died. But before that, we were killing a lot of people in the Middle East before that. We did it in Vietnam. And you know, the Constitution says that the Congress of the United States is there to declare war, and that's how you get into war. The Congress has to declare war. Well, that has not been followed since Korea. Technically, they called Korea excuse me, I've forgotten the word. It was an action. It wasn't a war, but we called the Middle East wars the Vietnam War, but Congress never declared war. The last war that we declared was World War II, when Congress declared war. But the Constitution is specific. Congress has to declare war. That's another thing that's gone by the wayside. Another thing that's happened is that the CIA officers, not just CIA officers, military officers, FBI types, they're double dipping now. What we call double dipping is they retire, they get their retirement, and then they go to work for the media, they go to work for other agencies, they become consultants. This is especially true among generals and colonels in the military and CIA agents, chiefs of station of CIA, and other agencies. And this is what we call double dipping. But the fact that they're receiving two retirements is not what's important. And what is important is that they've compromised their position and their past in their past duties. And now they're in the media or they're in there as consultants somewhere, and they're misleading people.
So do you see the Guantanamo closing anytime soon?
I couldn't tell you. If there's a momentum to close it, then you see an opposite momentum to keep it. There's absolutely no justification to have Guantanamo there over 2 decades. None. If you want to say, in fact, the Marine that established he was charged with the establishment of Guantanamo to put the so-called quote unquote terrorists there. He thought it was going to be a maximum a year, and so did his other military officers, his peers, that it would be for a year and then that would be it. Well, here we are 20 plus years later, and it's still there, and we still have people there, although many, much less now, a handful, but it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The rendition camps we set up in Europe were used to extract information physically as well as mentally. That they did not want to do it on domestic soil, and this is a black mark on the CIA. And we had a woman in charge of the rendition camps who we made the director of Central Intelligence. She was replaced about 4 years ago, but 4 years ago. But she became the director of Central Intelligence.
Yes. Well, at this moment, the CIA, Mike, seems to be concentrating. In other words, the bulk of their concentration now would be in Europe. I mean, of course, with the Ukraine war on, that's where the CIA would be focused right now.
Well, that's a focus. Ukraine is definitely a focus. That's another war that we're into that we should not be into. CIA is definitely has a big role there, as the military does. We're giving arms. We're giving. We have consultants over there, and we could start a World War III by what we're doing. But the CIA is also very much involved right now, and that's been for decades. China. We have been fearful that China would come to be what it is today, a competitive power, economically, militarily, and politically, more so economically and militarily, a competitive power than Russia. Russia is the next that we fear, but. They need each other. Both need each other. But CIA is the target. The original target when I was there was the two main targets were China and Russia. Mm-hmm. After my Vietnam tour, I had a good tour, and I could sort of name my project. I chose to study Spanish, go under deep cover. This is called the NOC, Non-Official Cover Program. And I was offered Hong Kong to work against the mainland, but I had to learn Chinese, one of the dialects, and I chose not to. I chose Spanish. I thought I could learn it easier, and ended up in Latin America under deep cover. But Vietnam was a good tour for me. After 4 months, and I was there from 65 to 67. After 4 months in Vietnam, I said, what are we doing here? The first year, I had several programs in the provinces.
Doing what?
I'm sorry?
What were those programs? What you did with those?
One was a counter-terror team. I had 20 Montagnards and 20 Vietnamese. Every other guy had a grenade launcher. I mean, these guys were loaded. Would send them out on search and destroy missions. And that was a program I had. They got mortared. They were about 100 yards from me. They got mortared a couple times because they got known in the province. And I had a census grievance where these little outposts were set up where people from the villages and hamlets could come in and give their grievances. Really, it was an intelligence collecting operation more than anything. have a political action team where we would go out and proselytize these villages and these hamlets during the day when we thought it was safe. I lived across the street from a Special Forces B team. They had assigned to them a forward air controller, a FAC. He was an Air Force guy. And I think I might have mentioned to you, I did not advise the station, but I would go up there with him on occasion, where he was spotting targets to drop the ordnance where these planes had come in and dropped their ordnance. And we were dropping them in the hamlets where we didn't know what was in there. This was military intelligence. We dropped more bombs in Vietnam than we did in all World War II. We did the same thing in the Middle East. I don't know how many we dropped, but that's what we do. We use superior firepower. We minimize our casualties, and this is the new order of battle for the Americans. And massive bombing, massive rockets, things like that, and minimal casualties, because the mothers of America will not get upset if we have minimal casualties, KIAs and WIAs and MIAs. I'd like to. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yeah. What you want? Why you ask me that? What you want to say?
I would like to just cover the non-official program, non-official cover program briefly.
Yes, go ahead.
That sent me into Latin America.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This program, when I was in it, it was not as effective as the Russian KGB illegal program. First of all, Americans are Americans when they go overseas. And maybe we could pass as a Canadian, but that's it. And then there's not much difference. The Russian illegal program allowed them to come in under false flag passports of other countries, Polish or any other country. And you'd never know that they were Russian illegals operating as agents overseas. You could not identify them as Russians. They had false flag passports. They could speak the language of that country fluently. And they had operations that were much more integrated into the KGB operations than the Americans. The non-official cover program in the United States was not not culturally, it did not exist as a major operational asset when I was there. Although it was viewed to be effective. In many cases, it did not get the support in the field that it should. And number two, the CIA chiefs of station. These are bureaucrats who've come up in the system, and many of them do not like to have to deal with the non-official types on the outside because it takes a different approach. It's a different meeting types. They cannot meet in the office, in the embassy, or any other official installation. So the chiefs of station or wherever officers they designate must meet them quietly as they would meet a foreign agent. And that was the case where I used to meet with the chief of station. I was only declared to the chief of station, and he declared me to his administrator, his number 2 deputy, in case he was sick or out of the country. Nobody else was I declared to, certainly not to the State Department or to the ambassador or anyone else in the station.
Yes.
Training for non-official operations is brief. I went through it. It was brief. They're sent overseas, but they're not like some of the KGB illegals where they're there for 20 years. They're 4 years, 5 years, some even more, but not as long.
Yes. Not as long as you are saying.
I'm sorry?
No, you are saying your tenure was not as long as
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
it was shorter. And my tenure was a little bit different. I was coming off an official,
yes.
my official cover, and I was going to deep cover. But the first tour was a tour just to see how it worked out mostly.
Well,
And then I would be sent. I was actually being set up when my cover got blown to handle Communist Party penetrations in Caracas, Venezuela.
well, I tell you
I
what,
was in Washington under special training at the time.
Mike. I tell you what, Mike.
Anyway, that's the gist of it.
Yes. Well, let me tell you. I don't know why we just lost Mike like that. Let me try and get him back. I don't understand what happened a while ago where we just lose him like that. Yes, I'm trying to get back Mike. I don't understand why I just lose him like that, Mike, are you there? Yes, we were talking to ex-CIA agent Michael Marriage, and I lost him suddenly when we were actually at the end of today's program with him, or discussion with him today. Mike, are you there? Well, I tell you what, let us go for a break now, and when we'll be back with Be Sure. Be Sure is our program that deals with insurance, how to protect ourselves in time of emergency. Let us go for a break. Are we not going for the break?
And we are just a clay. And even when the vessel is broken, you won't throw the clay away. Bring him all out of your borders, your troubles and your sin, 'cause there's none a broken vessel Almighty God can make. Yeah. There's none a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah. There's not a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel God can mend. Can't even walk without you holding my hand. I thought number one would surely be me. I thought I could be what I wanted to be. I thought of myself as a mighty big man, but I can't even walk without you holding my hand. Thank you, Jesus. Can't even walk without you holding my hand. Oh, mountains too high and the valley is too wide. On my knees, I've learned to stay. That I can't even walk without you holding my hand. Help me, Jesus. Ah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Lord, yeah. Oh, yeah. I thank God I made Jesus my one and all. From now on this day, I'm surely gonna call. And if I don't trust him, I'd be less than a man. 'Cause I can't even walk without you holding my hand. Oh Lord, can't even walk without you holding my hand. The mountain's too high and the valley is too wide. Down on my knees, I've learned to stay. Can't even walk without you holding my hand. Thank you, Jesus, for all you have done for me right now. You've been so good to me. Number one would surely be me. I thought I could be what I wanted to be. I thought of myself as a mighty big man, but I can't even walk without you holding my hand. Can't even walk without you holding my hand. The mountain is too high and the valley is too wide. Down on my knees, I've learned to stay. Can't even walk without you holding my hand. Lord have mercy, can't even walk without you holding my hand. The mountain's too high and the valley is too wide. Down on my knees, I've learned to stay. Can't even walk without you holding my hand.
I just got me a deal there.
Oh, Father, you know I love you. You touch my heart, my soul, with your mercy. I thank you, my Lord, for all you've done for me. You bless my life in so many ways. Though I will never, ever leave you, I won't be ungrateful to you, my Lord. I know that this world is all in your hand. We are your children, and so we give you praise. Oh, so many ways. Father, I love in so many ways. Oh, Lord. So when I remember just where I'm coming from, hey, to where I'm standing now, fell to my knees in praise of your name. Thanking you, Lord, every step of the way. Oh, Father, you know I love you. You touch my heart, my soul, with your mercy. I thank you, my Lord, for all you've done for me. You bless my life in so many ways. Oh, I will never, ever leave you out. I won't be ungrateful to you, my Lord. I know that this world is all in your hands. We are your children, and so we give you praise. Oh, Father, you know I love you. You touch my heart, my soul, with your mercy. I thank you, my Lord, for all you've done for me. You bless my life in so many. Lord, I'm ready. Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready. Lord, I'm ready for your call. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Your grace is all that carries me through the dark. You shine your light so I could see. Even when I was down on my knees, you set me free. Lord, you bring my shield from my enemies. In your loving home, that's where I got to be. To stay within your grace for the rest of my day. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, oh gosh, you move them all away. Lord, I turn to you when I'm in need. Your love is just like the air I breathe. Heavenly Father, you're truly a friend indeed. There is so much that I got to say. I could go on about you every day. Your name I will always praise for the rest of my days. Rest of my days. Rest of my days. Heavenly Father, yeah. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Lord, I'm ready for your calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Your grace is all that carries me through the dark. You shine your light so I could see. Even when I was down on my knees, you set me free there. Lord, you bring my shield from my enemies. In your loving home, that's where I got to be. To stay within your grace for the rest of my day. Lord, I'm ready for before you calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Lord, I'm ready for you calling. I know you will let me when I'm falling. With all the obstacles that's in my way, you move them all away. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words. I've been to lots of places, seen so many faces. There were times I felt so all alone, but in my lonely hours, those special hours, Jesus let me know that I am His own. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words. I thank God for the mountains, thank Him for the valleys, thank Him for the storms He brought me through. 'Cause if I didn't have problems, I wouldn't know that God could solve them. I wouldn't know what faith in God could do. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His word. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff that comfort me. Though the wicked will come upon me to eat up my flesh, they will stumble and fall. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to put my trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to put my trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And today is Monday. And as being a Monday, we have our programs. We have online insurance salesman Lloyd Brim. Lloyd, are you there?
Absolutely.
Speak up, I'm not hearing you. Huh? Are you hearing me?
Yes, no, I'm to you.
I don't know why I'm not hearing you too clear. I'm not hearing you clearly at all. Lloyd. And he left us. Lloyd.
No, that.
Are you hearing me now?
No.
Okay. Well, as usual, listeners and viewers, on a Monday at this time, we are a bit late, but we want to. This is our time for our program. Be sure Be Sure is the program that we use to inform our viewers and our listeners about the importance of insurance. This is when we use this time to get you to be prepared just for eventualities. And Brim, last week you were telling us about the importance of making wills and cost and how important it is. You want to continue there, let me hand over to you for you to decide what you want to start with this week.
Thank you. Listener, last time we started and planning. Let's just.
I don't know why I'm not hearing you clearly, Lloyd.
I am low.
You are hearing me, but I'm not hearing you.
No. I hear you low.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try again.
Yes. Yes, Lloyd.
Can I go?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. Just make this abundant. Your estimate consists of all the you own and how you do. Now, when operating plans, the account is approved. That's to be by liability being settled.
Some of your words, I don't know why I'm not getting some of what you are saying at all. Some of just, I'm not. In other words, you're going in and out. There's something wrong with this transmission. Just let us hold a moment there, Lloyd. Hold a moment. Let us try and sort this out so that I can hear you clearly. You are hearing me, but I'm not hearing you.
Well,
there's something. Go, try again, Lloyd.
Yes, I'm just saying the estimate person consists everything in all the languages. You know what it means when some unpaid? That's the meaning. But the estimate, if it is, then it would have spent everything in it.
No, hold on. Something is wrong, Lydie. I'm not hearing you. Just hang up, Lydie. Let me try and call you back. Where you are, there's something that is, I'm just not hearing you at all.
I will fly, yeah, fly away home. I will fly away home. sweet, sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I think we are back with Lloyd Brim. Lloyd, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I'm hearing you better now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So you were making the point about the importance of making a will. Go ahead.
It's absolutely important. And just to make it clear, throughout a person's life, the person acquires assets, liabilities, and the assets are in different categories, and so are the liabilities. But the bottom line is it's time to close the person's account. Now the person would have left instructions on what is to be done with all the assets. And that is called making a will.
Yes.
So the will is to give instructions to distribute the estate. And the actual estate planning is a part of that. So for the assets to be distributed, there are some people, I said before, who must be included as beneficiaries. And the will must be legally sound. And that means it can withstand any challenge. And the last time we were talking about some special issues with a will. You know, if a beneficiary is left out, then the beneficiary can bring a challenge against the will to have it struck down and reconstructed to include these beneficiaries who were left out before. Now, one thing, there are final expenses, funeral expenses. And in Jamaica, you know how people like to be sent off in style. Limousine service and video and glass this and real style. But it costs. Where is the money to come from?
Mm-hmm.
The people who deals with that are the people who step into his shoes and to manage the estate. Now, where the money is, you can wish any funeral you want, but you will only get the one that the money available can give you.
Mm-hmm.
And the assets become transferable. Assets become transferable because the deceased person have no further use or need for them. It is this transferring process that causes problems with the government, problem among family members, problem among people looking over and wishing they were on the will and feel that they should be on the will. All of these issues will be settled in court if disputes arise, which require the will to be restructured.
Yes.
And I was also saying that the liabilities that the deceased person carry have to be settled. The assets like money owing to the estate must be collected, and the net
Money owing to the estate? Explain that.
money, yes. If the deceased person was owed any money,
Oh, you mean receivables?
receivables.
Yes.
Because let's say the person have a trucking company and they're doing haulage, and the payment is due the end of the month, and the person dies before the end of the month. Those monies are receivables, as you put it. They still have to be collected. And those are the people who do this. And any bill, any liability on the part of the deceased person has to be settled. So the account must balance. And that's the whole idea. So when somebody dies, it requires a whole lot of activities. Different from what we see normally with this 9-night and this grave digging and all these kind of things. We only see that, but behind the scenes now, I am saying lots of expenses are created. Is to settle these expenses, why we refer to the probating of the will. And the will is the instrument that gives the instructions. The probate is the process of effecting these instructions. And I can take you to one area where lots and lots of problems always exist, because if you are a sole trader doing a business all by yourself, no partners and so on. So if you are a sole trader, for example, the business that you leave would be part of your estate and probably the major part of your estate. Now, a lot of people make some serious errors. One of the errors, I think I mentioned it before, but just to reinforce it, one of the errors is to sign the will at death. So it is written up and everything, but it is not dated. And you give me the will to keep, you die, I just put my name in there as a beneficiary, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
Whoa.
So people do these things. You'd be amazed if I tell you the names of a couple of people who have not done it.
Yes.
So this is not something we're talking about that the whole world knows about. It's not on any advertising sign anywhere. You have to get it from your life insurance agent and your lawyer, and if you have enough assets in the different classes, your accountant. All of these things have to go on, and they cost money.
Yes, but what you're advising is that one should never make a will and don't sign it. That is a point that you are making too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because if you don't sign it, then it is not a will.
Yes.
You have to sign it. And it has to have the different features. So I keep saying, this information is to alert all of us to go to the lawyer and discuss this process. That is the point I'm making. Don't write it on a piece of hand towel or a piece of book leaf or so. Although it would still be effective if it is properly signed and so on.
Yes.
Nobody is to read your will.
Nobody?
No, you don't make a will and take it to the beneficiaries and say, this is my will and this is what it said. This is my will and this is what it.
Yes.
No. You don't do that.
In other words, the beneficiaries, they will know when you are dead.
When the will is being made. But this man is common knowledge that if it is known, then people start fight from before. People start take possession of assets and all kind of confusion. And
it can have serious consequences if that is done.
Serious consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just making the point over and over, and then we're going to move on to something else.
Yeah.
But estates that contain businesses is a different kettle of fish, that one is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Tell us about that one.
I'm going to come to it in a minute. But there are some items that don't attract any tax. And these are like jewelry, painting, sculpture, artwork. And one of the most valuable assets one can give is a library.
A library?
Yes, because people throughout life, they acquire different skills and they have information they want to pass on. You know, most people keep information on their progress, their failures, how they did them, like stuff for biography kind of thing. No. When you have a library, it would not track a transfer tax. But it is very important, very expensive, and can change the way of your life, your whole personal development. All of these things are stored in a library. Historical data, family data, plus all the reading, all the books that you accumulate, sir, photographs, and all of these things will be part of your library. But it does not attract tax. So in we said estate planning, some of the things that you want to get into your estate are things like these. You can name a famous sculpture, for example, and see some of the works, maybe people like Capo and others. Their work now gets more and more valuable as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that people can make a part of their estate, and these will not attract any tax. The matrimonial home as well. So, two things, Desmond. When you have more than one residential property, the tax authorities, you cannot live in the smallest one. And when this document is being done, you put that you live in the most expensive one, because the residential one is exempt from some taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't rent out the biggest one, so live in the smallest one. And when your documents being put together, the biggest one is put as the residential property. The tax people will investigate and check whether you really live there and all this kind of thing, because, you know, they want every dollar.
Yes, sir.
These are some things that have to be discussed one-on-one with your advisors. Cash, again, doesn't attract the tax. If it's cash in the business, then that's a different thing.
But cash in your account?
Well, your personal account these days, you know, that can be empty in a day or so, no matter how much you need.